Perhaps it's not difficult to find a luxurious resort on the Strip selling the dream of opulence. However, Circus Circus completely went against that trend. They don't sell luxury, they sell mass appeal and nostalgia. And in a time of economic uncertainty, memories and a sense of belonging sometimes become the most valuable commodities. While Las Vegas's luxury icons are constantly reeling from enormous operating costs, mounting debt, and increasingly cautious spending by visitors, Circus Circus persists as an inexplicable paradox. Old, noisy, and a bit risky, but busy, stable, and profitable. Why did a resort labelled outdated succeed while luxury resorts went bankrupt one after another? This video will break down the secret strategy behind Circus Circus's quiet success. How they intentionally avoided the luxury race, kept prices low but maintained a familiar experience, optimized costs ruthlessly, and tapped into the psychology of a customer base that modern Las Vegas is neglecting. While many resorts are still selling expensive dreams, Circus Circus is betting on a simpler and perhaps more sustainable truth. At first glance, Circus Circus looks like a donkey lagging behind in a race of thoroughbreds on the Strip, but financially, it's much more stable than many expensive new resorts. And once you understand how it works, you'll see that it makes perfect sense. Circus Circus opened in 1968, appearing as a Las Vegas curveball. While the Strip at that time primarily catered to adults and high rollers, this place deliberately opened its doors to families and children. As if to say, Vegas isn't just for people in suits. It was also once a shocking invention for bringing free circus acts, a carnival vibe, and fairground games into the heart of a casino, a type of mass entertainment that modern Vegas has almost traded away for luxury and prestige. As time passed, many old Vegas icons disappeared. Circus Circus is still there, like an old piece of wood floating against the current of modernization. Out of date, unappreciated, but hard to sink. It's no longer a trendsetter, but it has become a kind of legacy for many. It's a remnant of old Vegas, where fun wasn't a financial test. If you look at it just by reputation, Circus Circus seems to be collapsing. It's been labelled as old-fashioned, sketchy, unstylish, and somewhat dangerous. But this decline wasn't bankruptcy. It was a tarnishing of image in a city that increasingly values glitz. The paradox lies here. The more its reputation declines, the more it filters out the right group of customers that Vegas is currently neglecting. Those who no longer believe in the glitz and don't want to pay to enter a place that makes them feel they don't belong. In reality, Circus Circus is not a dump. In 2019, MGM sold it to Phil Ruffin for $825 million. At the same time, MGM announced that Circus Circus generated adjusted property EBITDA of approximately $62 million for the 12 months ended June 30th, 2019. This is the clearest evidence that behind the layer of memes, it remains a cash cow, attractive enough for major investors to bet on. In an uncertain economic climate, many people just want to go out and have fun without being treated like inventory because they're not rich. Circus Circus became a pressure release valve, a place where people escape the high cost of living rather than the world itself. Perhaps it is this positioning that makes it successful in the long run. But if you think Circus Circus wins because it's cheap, the story is just beginning. In Las Vegas, cheap is rarely kindness. It's usually a very sophisticatedly designed trap. And to understand why Circus Circus still wins, we have to look at how it turns cheapness into a behavioral draw, getting people to come in, stay, and ultimately pay more without even realizing it. Cheap is not charity, it's a net. The more you struggle, the more entangled you become. And Circus Circus understands that better than any resort on the Strip. While icons like the Bellagio and Wynn compete for the title of Vegas's peak, Circus Circus chose a different path, becoming a value resort, a place that's always on the list for budget travelers and families. In times of uncertainty, What matters is not how famous you are, but whether you consistently appear in consumers' decisions. Circus Circus doesn't need to be the most dreamlike place. It just needs to be the least risky place. That's the nature of the volume value strategy. Cheapness is not the result, but the entry point. A ticket that consistently draws crowds, especially as Americans become increasingly sensitive to travel costs, prices, and the feeling of being nickel and dimed by surcharges. Modern Vegas is criticized for rising fees and prices, resort fees, parking fees, food, drinks, making people worry because they never know exactly how much they will pay until they swipe their card. In that context, the low prices of Circus Circus became a psychological anchor. Guests felt more in control of the game, less defensive against unpredictable financial risks. According to some 2025 compilations, the average resort fee in Las Vegas is estimated to be around $40 night, and Circus Circus is about $38.999 night before taxes. This reflects a reality that consumers feel very clearly in Vegas. Fees have become part of the climate, like the heat. You can't avoid them. You can only choose a less stifling place. The core difference lies in how money is earned. Luxury resorts thrive on high profit margins per guest. Circus Circus thrives on volume of guests, length of stay, and small but recurring expenses. When customers choose cheap, they often experience an almost instinctive effect. I save money. I deserve it. And so the small expenses started to appear. Arcades, slots, snacks, drinks, games. Those amounts don't immediately hurt the wallet, but they add up to a steady, consistent, and much more sustainable cash flow than many flashy things. Meanwhile, the collapse lies with the opponent. Many luxury resorts are trapped by high operating costs, constant upgrade cycles, and the pressure to always look new every year. When the economy is unstable, they have to raise prices and fees even more to maintain profits, and the more they raise them, the more they push some customers down into the value segment. Circus Circus stood outside that vortex, like an escape hatch for those who no longer wanted to pay for the hollow feeling of luxury, but simply wanted to have fun without feeling punished. While luxury resorts try to make guests feel special with high prices, Circus Circus makes guests feel ordinary. And in an America weary of being measured by money, a sense of normalcy sometimes becomes the greatest luxury. But cheap prices only help Circus Circus get customers through the door. The real sophistication lies in how it keeps guests coming back, turning an ordinary day into a loop that people don't want to leave. And that's when we enter the most dangerous machine at Circus Circus, the Time Machine Midway, Adventure Dome, and a design that's no different from IKEA. Formula. You didn't come here to play casino. You came here to stay and lose track of time. And that's the difference that keeps Circus Circus alive, while many newer, more beautiful resorts have to burn money to keep customers. Circus Circus boasts time mines that most luxury resorts don't prioritize. A midway full of carnival games. An adventure dome, a large indoor amusement park, and arcades and coin games create a constant rhythm of fun. These things sound normal, even a bit old. But in the casino business, it's the most classic formula. Keep people in the building for as long as possible. Because every minute a guest stays increases their spending potential and, more importantly, reduces the likelihood of them going outside to compare prices elsewhere. For children, this is paradise. For parents, this is a place where they can buy laughter with small amounts instead of a few $100 show bill. For seniors, this is a rare option because they don't need to run all over the strip in the heat, crowds, or exhaustion to find enjoyment. They just had to walk in and everything was there, in a dome. This is what creates the paradox, while luxury resorts are optimized for beautiful photos and expensive experiences, the things that make you want to take pictures and show off. Circus Circus is optimized for constant touch points, the things that make you stay. In luxury resorts, most experiences are geared towards spectacle, light, marble, brands, famous restaurants. At Circus Circus, the experience is geared toward utility fun. There's plenty to play, plenty to keep you busy, and plenty to keep you going. It doesn't make you feel like you're living in a dream. It makes you feel like you're having a happy day, and that happy day can last. The change in modern Vegas lies precisely in this point. As the city shifted strongly toward a non-gaming revenue model, shopping, fine dining, shows, nightlife, many resorts inadvertently transform themselves into places to spend money rather than places to play. And when every place is too similar, luxurious lobbies, high-end malls, expensive and short meals, Vegas began to lose its game in the literal sense. It takes away what makes guests stay for fun, not for status. In that context, Circus Circus retains its playful structure as something anachronistic. And sometimes, being out of sync is what brings people back. In the end, Circus Circus still has enough attractions to keep people staying and coming back. And precisely because it achieves this with small but many things, it becomes a counterweight to the new Vegas, where every experience is expensive and ends too quickly. And now, as the story touches on belief, we begin to understand why Circus Circus is still alive. It doesn't just keep people entertained with games, it holds them with something stronger, a sense of familiarity. It felt like being transported back to a version of Vegas that people once believed was real. Because when trust becomes scarce, Circus Circus will pull out another weapon, nostalgia, something that makes people believe in the past more than the present. The whole world is moving toward the future. Circus Circus goes back in time and makes money from it. It sounds nostalgic, but it's actually a strategy. In an age where everything is digitalized, real feeling becomes a rare commodity. While most casinos are going cashless, screen-based, and aiming for a seamless experience like a banking app, Circus Circus is keeping coin-operated slots at Slots of Fun and emphasizing nostalgia as its identity. The coin falling into the tray is not just a sound. It's a psychological signal. This is where you can touch, hear, and believe. For many adults and seniors, that feeling is like a fatigue reliever, a piece of real Vegas remaining in a city that is becoming increasingly bland and lacking in exclusivity. And they didn't stop there. In February 2026, Circus Circus will open a paper and Dorber-style bingo hall. 6 sessions, day, 255 seats, session, packages around $30 prizes, $50, $1, $500. This isn't nostalgic decoration, this is business. Bingo creates a stable rhythm of life, encourages repeat visits, builds community, and more importantly, provides a cost-no-shock experience like shows or nightlife. It's suitable for adults and seniors because it's predictable, low stress, and gives people a sense of belonging. In a context where people are exhausted by screens, physical nostalgia, coins, paper, felt-tip pens becomes an experience with weight. You don't just look at the score, you mark it. You don't just press a button, you grasp it. And in a world where so many things become invisible, that tangible feeling makes one believe that this is a realer place than the gleaming marble halls. Is nostalgia being sold as a product in place of genuine care? Or is it truly an escape? If the past makes us feel safe, is it truly safe? Or just a feeling? And if trust isn't just a feeling, but data? Vegas has a public data trove that many people overlook. Sanitation inspections, and from that, we'll understand why Vegas's next big battle isn't casinos, but fees. Vegas doesn't make you poor because of the casinos. It makes your wallet collapse due to small fees. Not big enough for you to call a disaster, but enough for you to feel like you're being worn down layer by layer, as if this city doesn't want you to lose once, but wants you to lose every day. Modern Las Vegas is facing backlash over fees and prices, resort fees, parking fees, the widespread tipping culture, and a casual meal can turn into a shocking bill. People are not only angry because it's expensive, people are angry because of the constant feeling of being overcharged, as if you've just stepped into a machine where every movement has a price. According to some 2025 compilations, the average resort fee in Las Vegas is estimated to be around $40 per night, an increase of approximately 11% compared to the previous year, while Circus Circus falls into the lower group, at around $38.99 per night before taxes. This number is not a government report, but it's enough to reflect a reality. Fees are no longer secondary. Fee has become the living backdrop for tourists. Circus Circus benefits from being located in a less hated area. It doesn't try to be a symbol of luxury, so it's less likely to be seen as soft blackmailing through experience. It doesn't promise to make you someone else. It only promises you can enter, spend little or much as you like, and not feel judged. That's not generosity, it's strategy, making people feel minimally respected so they're willing to spend the maximum amount they'll accept. The 2025 setting makes the story more intense. Las Vegas saw an 11.3% decrease in visitation in June 2025, approximately 400,000 fewer visitors compared to June 2024, according to the LVCVA. The cause is described as economic uncertainty and weakening consumer confidence. When the number of guests decreases, high-end resorts have to squeeze more revenue out of each guest, and the more they squeeze, the more sensitive consumers become. A vicious cycle formed. Guests became more frustrated, resorts increased fees, guests became less loyal, and Vegas began to resemble a city consuming its own future. When everything is extra, are we living in a service economy or a punitive economy? If Vegas is a mirror of America, what does that reflection say about the financial and psychological health of its people? And this is the part that luxury resorts don't want to mention. Circus Circus might not be surviving because of the casino, but because of the land. You see a casino, investors see 102 acres. Those two perspectives could determine the fate of an icon, and this is the strategic level that many people don't want to face, because it's so cold that it makes all nostalgia fragile. Circus Circus is located on a vast plot of land on the North Strip. In Las Vegas, the land on the Strip isn't like the soil in a normal city. It's like the final poker table that still holds the winning hand. Because the Strip no longer has much contiguous land large enough to build new mega projects. And that's why Circus Circus is more than just a resort. It is a strategic asset that can be reshaped at any time when the opportunity arises. When MGM sold Circus Circus in 2019, the buyer wasn't just buying rooms in a casino. They bought something more important, the right to choose the future to keep it running, repair it, or redevelop it cyclically. This is why the story Circus Circus always wins has a chilling undertone. It wins because it's a cash-generating machine built on a landmine. The casino became a legitimate excuse to hold on to the land, keep the cash flow, and maintain the right to wait. In Vegas, memories can be erased by a contract. History has repeatedly shown that strip icons don't collapse from a lack of customers, but from something more valuable than memory, the value of the land and its potential for exploitation. When land becomes a target, everything else, nostalgia, family, affordability, can become decorative elements in an Excel spreadsheet where numbers know no nostalgia. If one day Circus Circus disappears or changes shape, the impact will be more than just the loss of a hotel. Workers will be disrupted. Residents in the surrounding area will experience changes in rental prices, transportation, and neighborhood structure. Adults and seniors who once saw this place as a piece of old Vegas will lose an emotional anchor. Families with children will lose a rare option for price and entertainment model, and the city will lose another layer of memory, something that no new project can truly rebuild. If a place is loved for its memories, does it have the right to exist when the land value beneath it is too high? When a city is controlled by land prices, who will decide whether culture survives or disappears? And to understand why people are afraid and why they still come back, we must look at Vegas's inherent weaknesses: crime, panic, and fragile trust. Luxury doesn't lose because of a lack of money. Luxury loses because it's never allowed to stop spending money. In modern Las Vegas, luxury is no longer a quality. It's a marathon where anyone who slows down is considered outdated. The room must be new. The restaurant must be well known. The show must be big. The hall must be bright. And the service must be smooth. Everything must be upgraded before customers even realize it's old. And in that game, costs don't follow revenue on a daily basis. Costs always come first. A reminder that luxury doesn't sell products. Luxury sells images, and images are never allowed to fall. As the market slows down, the weaknesses of this model become very clear. High fixed costs, high profit expectations, and strong pressure to squeeze revenue per customer. To compensate, many high-end resorts are increasing resort fees, raising food and beverage prices, and increasing service charges. And this is when consumers react most strongly, not because they hate paying, but because they hate the feeling of being nickel and dimed, being charged little by little, as if every step is being billed. Meanwhile, Circus Circus can withstand being run down, old, and mocked, because it doesn't need to maintain a high-end image. It just needs to exist as an option for the majority, for those who want to go out without pretending to be rich. But this kind of victory comes at a cost. Panic incidents, crime stories, or a sense of unease around the area could further tarnish the image of Circus Circus, and the audience cares about that because it directly impacts a very real question. Should I bring my child? Should I take my elderly parents out? Is it safe? This is Vegas's biggest point of contention right now. Is the city turning into a place where people have to choose between expensive but suffocating and cheap but sensory risky? And if that's true, then this isn't just a problem for casinos. This is the problem of an economy that is tiring consumers with fees, and tiring them because they no longer believe that everything is designed to serve them. The way out, if there is one, likely lies in three seemingly small but crucial things that determine trust: fee transparency, public safety to your hygiene data, and the return of mass entertainment, the kind that makes Vegas less cold and less like a bill printing machine. But that will only happen if the industry is willing to acknowledge one thing: consumers are human beings, not wallets. Perhaps Circus Circus isn't the most beautiful place in Las Vegas. It doesn't have a glittering marble lobby, a celebrity chef restaurant on every corner, nor does it try to convince you that you're living a luxurious dream. But precisely because of this, it's a blunt reminder. Vegas used to be a place for the masses, where you could walk in without proving your social class. What makes Circus Circus win isn't because it's perfect, and because it understands an uncomfortable truth. When people are tired, they no longer buy things that overwhelm them. They buy things that make them less stressed, less nickeled and dimed by fees, and less likely to feel like outsiders. And sometimes, the ordinary, something luxury resorts often overlook, is what keeps people coming back, time and time again. Perhaps this isn't just the story of Circus Circus. This is the story of America, where the dream is always being sold, but more and more people just want something smaller. A place where they don't have to be on the defensive. Don't have to be charged extra. Don't have to wonder if they still belong. If a place that is criticized still survives and makes steady money, then is class really what determines who wins in today's economy? When everything is priced and surcharged, what makes a place worth returning to? Luxury, affordability, or the feeling of being respected? If you've ever witnessed a place you love slowly disappear due to development and valuation, please leave a comment below. I truly want to hear your story. And if you enjoy this type of investigative, analytical, and nostalgic content, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Each follow you give helps the channel continue to tell stories that many other places no longer want to tell. This video is intended for analysis, commentary, and information based on public sources, news, and reputable references available at the time of production. Some details may change over time or be updated by stakeholders. The content is not intended to accuse or absolutely affirm any individual and organization, and is not legal or financial advice. If there are any errors, we welcome authentic sources to update and correct them transparently.